Good morning. Happy Monday, May 11th. Man, we are flying through May. Got a lot going on today. I'm glad you tuned in. If you're watching this one's a great one. We got another guest today. We got Drew Armacost with Baldwin Group, Affordable Insurance. And I've been teasing this, but we've had some really impactful things happen in the world of insurance for my customers specifically over the last 2 weeks. And I wanted to bring that to you and bring Drew on because there's not a person watching this today, because the majority of you guys are either interested in buying real estate, but a lot of you guys already own real estate here on 38 in Destin, and you're going to want to pick up the phone after this, after watching this. So let me get straight into the hot sheet so we can get going on that. I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day weekend. It was certainly busy here. Let's dive into it. New listings 53. Guys, if you've been watching for any amount of time, you're probably getting bored with the lack of volatility in these new listing numbers. We like bored. We don't want wake up in 80 and then back down to 20. It is super consistent right around that 50 number on these new listings. But let's check out the pendings. 32, even more consistent than that. Guys, I keep screaming that. The number one reason I started this every Monday is because every time I see somebody, and it happened Friday night, I was with a friend, Casey, how's the market? This is what I'm telling you, and this is what I say to everybody. It is super consistent. It's not running hot, but it's far from cold. We are working our way through inventory. Closed properties 23, that's fairly consistent, right in line with that pending, okay? We will see some up and down on that depending on season. Price changes 56, okay? So listen, again, for those of you that have been watching for any amount of time, if this is your first time, these are super consistent numbers, and we bring them to you each week because we want to make sure that the actual numbers, the reality of the numbers, match what our feelings are out there. So when you're hearing neighbors talk or friends and family, and they might be saying their product's cold, hot, this is just the truth of the market. Now listen, I've still got a couple of pockets that I need to get listings on. That I need to get more activity on. That's a fact. There's some pockets out there that are not doing as well as others. And there's some pockets that I'd love to have more listings on because I'm putting them under contract fairly quickly. It's a little wild. So I can break that down for you depending on what your property looks like. But that's the lay of the land. But let's do this. Drew, can you hear us?
I sure can, Casey. Thanks for having me this morning, man.
Yeah, man. Look, you're a repeat on here. And I know you've talked to people that have called you directly from being on here. But give everybody a little intro and then we'll get right to it.
Yeah, Drew Armacost with the Baldwin Group. We were formerly known as Affordable Home Insurance. Been partnered with the Baldwin Group really since 2017. So did a national rebrand this year to the Baldwin Group, which created a little bit of confusion, but the reality is nothing's changed. Same team of people. We're a broker with access to roughly 98% of the Florida insurance markets right now, specializing really in anything from homeowners, auto, flood, umbrella, really anything but health insurance we can help with.
Yeah, good luck in getting me to stop saying affordable after I've been saying it for like 10 years. It's just not going to happen. So we're just going to have to embrace it. And Drew, that was a good point. Like I forgot you guys, I use you for, mainly home, right? But I was talking to some customers the other day. They're buying a new home over in Churchill, and they said, "Oh, we've got our cars with Drew." I was like, I forget that y'all do everything involved. So one-stop shop. But Drew, thanks for coming on. So I'm going to tell a story real quick, and this is not some corny infomercial for Drew. We didn't plan this out. He doesn't pay me to come on, and then we just Drew's house of like discount insurance. This is not what this is. This is factual stuff. I have two properties that require flood insurance. And when they sent me there, we always check with the customer as we're going through and getting contracts, and we do like a cost of own, and we do that annually. And they sent me their flood insurance, and I was like, man, that seems high. That seems high. And both of them, they were like $4,000. One was a bayfront, one was non-bayfront. And I was like, well, maybe that's it. So I said, look, let's just check with Drew. And we sent the quotes over to you, and both of them that were in the $4,000 range came in the mid 1,000s. I think one was 1,500, one was 1,700. And so I want to tee this up the right way. It's not because you just had access to the biggest discount nobody else did. I think it's a combination of not only that, but the world of auto renew, whether you have a bank paying it because it's escrow in, or it's just you assume that's the way it is and you get the bill every year. Drew, talk to me about why that's happening right now from the Florida side of things, and then go ahead and speak on like how important it is to check those policies every year on when they get those renewals.
Yeah, I think, a lot of it, Casey, is obviously clearly we have some competitive advantage with market access, right? Being the size that we are with the stability and how long we've been doing business here in the Panhandle, we get market access maybe to some newer carriers that are trying some things out, which really helps us, really exploring what else is available out there. But I think for, backing up a little bit, for the longest time in the hard market, everybody was really numb to these rate increases. And, for years they were being told, hey, if you got a renewal, you be blessed, right? Pay your renewal. And that kind of trickled into the flood insurance market too. That private flood market got pretty hard there for a couple of years with the storms that made impact down in South Florida. There was a lot of surge damage. A lot of those two devastating hurricanes that hit, really St. Petersburg area and a little south of there, did a lot of surge damage. So that flood market hardened up just like the homeowners market did. But just like the trends in the homeowners market, we're starting to see that soften a little bit. So, there's some new players in that space. And, ultimately, when you've got more competitive markets that are trying to compete for that business, it's naturally going to drive the price down a little bit. So we're seeing a lot of that. We're having a lot more success with the private flood markets than we are with the National Flood Insurance Program right now. And there's some advantages to that too, because the private flood markets will provide higher coverage in most cases, whereas the NFIP, the National Flood Insurance Program, is going to cap it $250,000 for the building, $100,000 for contents, which is great. It's an option, but if we can insure for full replacement value for a bayfront home or a beachfront home, we'd obviously like to try and capture that and make sure we've got the proper coverage. So lots of jockeying going on in our industry. Flood is getting extremely competitive. So is homeowners, and I really think I'm going on record saying this. So you can hold me to it, but I do really think that market trends indicate that even into 2027, if we have some storms this summer, we should still continue to see really good competitive market access, but also rates decreasing just because reinsurance rates are trending down.
Wow.
That'll apply to both homeowners and flood.
Okay. And just to make sure we just understand that, you guys on the back end from the homeowners and the flood are just the consistency of new competition coming in. And is that, I remember DeSantis really pushing that a couple of years ago when he was seeing the problems, when he was seeing the lawsuits out there. Like, do we give him credit on a little bit of that, or is it just the natural? You're shaking your head heavy, so go ahead and speak on DeSantis then on moves that were made on that end.
Yeah, the legislative changes that he really helped get done a few years ago have helped new carriers enter the space. It really protected them from a litigation standpoint, doing away with the one-way attorney fees, cut down on a lot of the frivolous lawsuits. The assignment of benefits clause going away obviously has helped significantly. It's helped carriers that maybe have historically steered clear of the Florida market jump back into that marketplace because now they're protected in a sense. Sadly, Casey, though, we got to deal with this in waves because there's still things going on at the legislative level now where they're trying to undo some of those changes that took place a couple years ago. So, as consumers, as policyholders, as agents, as residents of the state of Florida, I encourage everybody to really be boisterous to our representatives and make sure that your voice is being heard, that, hey, you're seeing decreases in premium. This is working so that we can continue on this path we're on. Just because, it's an ever-changing market and always will be.
Yeah. It's a tough one for me. When I get that question, everybody just kind of calls in and they want to, the reality of what really drove up those storms always drive the ebb and flow. They can run carriers out if you have too much impact, but man, it was so much about the lawsuits during that time that really ran a lot of these people out, right? I mean, they were just getting sued left and right. And so that was, would you say equal part with storms, or was it more so the lawsuits that really diminished the competition out there on the Florida?
Yeah, I think that the frivolous lawsuits, the assignment of benefits issues, the roofing fraud that kind of ran rampant through Florida, it's now making its way in other states. That was a bigger piece of the pie than the storms. The storms we're always going to deal with that, right? And we've dealt with hurricanes in Florida as long as
that's right.
Florida's been around. So that's not going to go away. These carriers have reinsurance for a reason. They participate in coastal states with the understanding that there's going to be hurricane exposure there, right? So they're built to sustain that. But not necessarily set up to sustain the frivolous lawsuits where, there's a roof claim that's being denied because maybe it's wear and tear, and then all of a sudden there's a $120,000 judgment on a $20,000 roof. Somebody's getting paid there, and the homeowner's taking what they need to obviously redo the roof in that scenario, but the attorneys are the ones making money, and obviously we need them, but definitely a lot of the hard market was driven by the legislative issues that DeSantis corrected in 2023.
Okay. So, I think what I was going to do is send out I was going to use this as hey, you guys need to look at your policies and maybe check with Drew based on my recent experience. Is that okay to say? Is that something you're recommending out there? Because I know that here's the thing, Drew. I realize you guys have so many clients and so many policies out there. You going through annually and just dialing every person and saying, hey, here's your requote. That's just not realistic, So, people need to take, in my opinion, based on the experience that I had with just those two customers, people need to take action and make sure there's not better options out there for them. Is that safe to say?
Yes, it's very safe to say. You're spot on. We do have a lot of customers, don't necessarily have the manpower to pick off everyone. We try and have some systems in place. If the increases are over certain percentage thresholds, that we're getting actively involved there. But we encourage all of our customers to call us at renewal just to review. Let's do a quick review. And sometimes that's a 5-minute phone call. Hey, nothing's really changed. We haven't made any updates to the home. We look at the premium. We understand that it's probably in the best place. But other times, getting it remarketed and making sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck is obviously, a really good idea, especially in a market that has trended soft. So we're back to the 2016, 17, 18 timeframe when we were having a lot of success saving people money, moving policies, at renewal. And so we've made it out of this hard market back into a soft market. My team here at Affordable Home Insurance with the Baldwin Group, happy to do a detailed review, risk analysis with anybody that calls in, and make sure number one, that they understand what they're buying, right? I think it's important that you understand the coverage you have, and we can get creative, and there's some people that are more risk adverse than others, right? And so really understanding the customer and painting that picture with them and getting a good understanding will help us build the policy that caters to their needs.
Drew, is that going to be the same for, another big issue over the last couple of years is these condos, these HOAs have been just, those fees were going up in large part because of the insurance premiums. I'm assuming that market's opening up for, it's same market for them, right? Like I assume they're getting some relief out there for those HOA fees. And those insurance costs for those older buildings got a little wild there for several years.
Yeah, we experienced some pretty wild increases from a condo association standpoint with those master policies. The market is softening. I will tell you this: there's a slight difference in that marketplace. Obviously, those big master policies are pretty dominated by the excess and surplus lines markets. So they're not admitted carriers. They're not filing a rate with the Florida Office of Insurance Regulations. But to your point, they are trending down. And that space is certainly getting a lot more competitive than it's been. So we actually saved a condo association just a couple of weeks ago about $300,000 on their annual premium, which is a big mover. But to your point, a few years ago, we were seeing increases of $500,000 and $1 million in premium over the course of maybe 36 months, which was really unexpected. And I don't think that a lot of these associations were prepared for that. So it's softened across the board. Anticipate that to remain that way really through 2027 and hopefully even further. I'm praying for a quiet storm season this year, even though that I don't think it'll have any impact on 27, but it certainly will impact 28, 29.
Drew, I always check it by I'm still running out in the Gulf and it's a little chilly, right? Yep. That's the way I like it. I don't like you give me hot water in May, I get nervous, and right now it's chilly. We just don't want it to feel like bath water come June. So yeah, I like it, man. I like where we're at right now. So I'll hope for the same. But brother, I appreciate you. I want people to call you, and several of them have. And in those two instances, we send them straight over to you, and you guys are quick and can look at it. And I would just tell anybody watching this, especially you on anywhere around the beach and everything, I would just, based on my experience, I would take a look at what you're playing in flood, homeowners, and I would check it and just get with Drew and just make sure with all this new competition coming in, there's just not some better options for you. So, Drew, thank you for taking the time. And if anything else comes up in the future, we'll reach out to you, or please let us know if there's something we need to bring up. Okay.
Sounds great, Casey. Always a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone. You'll have a great week, and we will talk to you soon.